Okay, moving forward here, we are now on the portion of the agenda where I'm going to talk just a little bit here about dialogue, skills, tools, and concepts. So just to bring us up to speed here today, so talking about global dialogue, talking about how we are all complex, diverse people, identities, and selves, and how do we maximize these opportunities, these benefits and advantages for communicating with people who are culturally different from us, and how do we overcome these challenges, these barriers, these obstacles that you just talked about in your last small group activity. And in the diversity programs that we have at San Jose State, and certainly in the Communication Studies Department, we believe dialogue is an ideal form of communication for embracing, engaging, learning from our diversity and from our differences. So I'm going to take just a couple minutes and outline what we mean by dialogue. And then typical of the event today, it's not just enough to talk about dialogue, we want to show you what it looks like and what it doesn't look like, and then give you all an opportunity to actually start working on a dialogue yourself. So the way we define dialogue is, dialogue has like 3 steps to it, 3 skill sets to it. And so let me start over here. One part of dialogue is what we call standing your ground. In dialogue, my goal, one of my goals, is to be able to be honest, forthright, explicit in expressing what I believe, what I see, what my perspective is, what my opinion is, what my values are. I need to be able to say that. I need to be able to express that. And if I'm afraid to say something, if I'm shy about saying it, or I don't want to say it because I might hurt somebody else's feelings, I'm not standing my ground. And if I'm not standing my ground, I'm not in dialogue. So part of dialogue is standing your ground. The skills for standing your ground are speak, express yourself. With clarity, be clear. With ownership, I'm speaking for myself, not for other people. This is what I think. This is what I believe. And with authenticity, with honesty, I'm not lying to you. I'm not being dishonest. This is what I really think and what I really feel. And maybe what I really think and really feel is, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm really confused about this. Say it. Express it. Get it out on the table. Part of dialogue is being able to express yourself with clarity, ownership, and authenticity. Big, big part of dialogue. Here's another part of dialogue. Being open to the other person. And when you're open to the other person, you're not doing a lot of talking right now. You're doing more listening. And you're trying to understand the other person's beliefs, values, perspectives, what's important to them. And you're not trying to understand it through your cultural filter, through your cultural experiences. You're trying to understand the other person from their perspective, how they're making sense of the world and the situation. And the skills for doing this, I mentioned this one earlier, be curious. I'm curious about what it is you think, and I want to know. I want to learn. Curiosity, openness. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not here to prejudge you or evaluate whether you're right or wrong, good or bad, whether I agree or disagree. I'm open to understanding your position from your position. And the other piece is listening. Empathic listening. I'm listening not to be critical, but to understand you and what's important to you. So listening from the perspective of the other person. Now, very important. When I'm open to you, that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you. I might ultimately disagree with you. And if I do, I should get back over here and stand my ground and say I disagree with you. But before I do that, let me try to understand your position first. So very important, be open to the other, listen, be curious, try to understand the world from their perspective. The second really critical piece of dialogue. And there's the third piece of dialogue that is actually the most important. And it's real simple. you've got to do both. Being in dialogue means standing your ground and being open to the other person. Not one and not the other, not this one and not this one, both. So when I'm in dialogue, at some point in the conversation, I need to be able to stand my ground. I need to express what I think. And at other points in the conversation, I need to be open, understanding your position and giving you a chance to express your view. And I need to shift back and forth to do both at the same time. You find yourself in a conversation. You disagree with the other person, but, oh, geez, I'm really hesitant to say I disagree or that I have a different view. So you don't say anything. Well, you didn't stand your ground. You're not in dialogue. I'm in a conversation, and this other person is saying something, and I just think it's wrong. I think it's ridiculous. I disagree with it vehemently, and I just tell them, I just disagree, I disagree, I disagree, you're wrong, wrong, wrong. I'm standing my ground so much, I'm not being open. So I'm not in dialogue there either. I've got to be able to do both. And we invite the other person to do both. Just conceptually, theoretically, that's dialogue, okay? In a nutshell, that's dialogue. Simple for me to say these words. It's a lot harder to do, especially when the topic is important, the relationship is significant, and there are differences. There are cultural differences.